Have you ever witnessed nature unleash its fury in a way that left an entire nation helpless? Imagine standing at the edge of disaster, watching towering waves crash onto the shores and howling winds uproot massive trees, rendering even the most advanced infrastructures useless. This is not just a scene from a disaster movie. This is the horrifying reality that unfolded in Florida, as America, one of the world's greatest superpowers, found itself at the mercy of Hurricane Milton. Many couldn't help but wonder, is this just a natural calamity, or is there something more divine at play? With millions left without power and countless lives torn apart, a parallel story began to emerge. On the very day the hurricane struck, the U.S. was reportedly preparing to send advanced weaponry to Israel, a country that has faced immense criticism for its brutal actions in Palestine. Is it a coincidence that America, while secretly aiding Israel's war efforts, was struck by one of the deadliest storms in its history? Could this be a reminder that no power, no matter how great, can escape the consequences of oppression? In today's video, we explore the shocking devastation in Florida and the hidden ties to a much larger global conflict. What you are about to witness will send chills down your spine. A disaster so fierce it left the people of Florida in disbelief and terror. On the night of October 9th, Hurricane Milton, the strongest storm ever recorded in the region, hit the shores of Florida, turning what seemed like an ordinary day into one of the darkest chapters in American history. Winds howling at 195 kilometers per hour tore through the state, uprooting trees, ripping apart homes, and cutting off power for millions of residents. As Florida plunged into chaos, the world watched in horror as this storm grew into a full-blown catastrophe. But was this just a coincidence, or is there a deeper meaning behind this unprecedented calamity? Just as Hurricane Milton barreled through the U.S., another story was quietly unfolding behind the scenes. According to some reports, the U.S. was preparing to deliver state-of-the-art weapons to Israel, weapons that would enable even more oppression of Palestinians. This was no ordinary shipment. These weapons were capable of leveling entire cities in the blink of an eye. The timing of this natural disaster has led many to question whether there is a divine connection, a punishment for America's unyielding support of Israel's brutal tactics in Palestine. Hurricane Milton's arrival coincided with a day when secret military shipments were allegedly being sent from Florida to Israel. These shipments were said to include advanced weaponry designed to help Israel continue its aggressive actions in the Middle East. However, before these weapons could be transported, nature itself seemed to intervene. The hurricane's winds destroyed roads, ports, and communication systems, making it nearly impossible for the U.S. to carry out its covert operations. This has raised questions about whether the storm was a divine act of retribution for America's role in supplying arms to an oppressive regime. As the hurricane tore through Florida, the state experienced a level of destruction that can only be described as apocalyptic. Power grids collapsed, plunging millions into darkness. Trees that had stood for decades were uprooted in seconds, while homes and businesses were reduced to rubble. People who had thought they were safe in their sturdy homes suddenly found themselves running for their lives as entire neighborhoods were wiped out by storm surges. The once vibrant state of Florida now looked like a war zone. But for many, the storm wasn't just a random occurrence. They see it as a manifestation of divine justice. For years, the U.S. has been Israel's staunchest ally, providing billions of dollars in military aid and advanced weaponry. This partnership has allowed Israel to maintain its military dominance in the region, often at the expense of innocent Palestinian lives. As images of destruction in Florida flooded the news, some began to draw eerie parallels between the devastation wrought by Hurricane Milton and the suffering endured by Palestinians under Israeli occupation. Florida, once a symbol of American prosperity and strength, now lies in ruins. More than 2,000 flights were canceled as airports shut down, leaving thousands of people stranded. Rescue operations are underway, but the scale of the disaster has overwhelmed even the most seasoned emergency response teams. Roads are impassable, and many areas remain submerged underwater. Despite the efforts of local authorities and international aid agencies, the full extent of the damage is still being assessed, and the death toll continues to rise. As the world watches Florida struggle to recover, there is growing speculation that this hurricane is a wake-up call. Some believe that the disaster is a direct consequence of America's unwavering support for Israel's actions in Palestine. For decades, the U.S. has supplied Israel with the weapons it needs to maintain its military superiority while turning a blind eye to the suffering of the Palestinian people. Now it seems that the tables have turned, with America itself becoming the victim of a powerful, unstoppable force. The people of Florida, who just days ago were living their normal lives, now face an uncertain future. Thousands of homes have been destroyed, leaving families homeless and desperate for help. Power outages have left millions without electricity, and many are struggling to find food and clean water. The scale of the destruction is hard to comprehend, and it will likely take years for the state to fully recover. In the midst of this chaos, some are beginning to question America's role on the global stage. Is this disaster a sign that the U.S. must rethink its foreign policy, particularly its unwavering support for Israel? Is this hurricane a form of divine punishment for the atrocities committed in the Middle East? These are questions that many are grappling with as they come to terms with the devastation left in Hurricane Milton's wake. As the storm subsides, the long process of rebuilding will begin. But the scars left by this disaster will not be easily healed. For many, this hurricane is a reminder that no nation, no matter how powerful, is immune to the consequences of its actions. America's support for Israel has long been a source of controversy, and now, as Florida lies in ruins, the country is forced to confront the possibility that its foreign policy decisions may have come back to haunt it. This storm has not only shaken Florida, but has sent shockwaves around the world. The sheer scale of the devastation has raised urgent questions about climate change, government preparedness, and international relations. As America grapples with the aftermath of this historic storm, the nation must also confront its role in a larger, more complex global narrative. Florida's tragedy serves as a stark reminder that power and wealth cannot protect a nation from the wrath of nature, or from the consequences of moral compromise. For now, the people of Florida are left picking up the pieces of their shattered lives, and the world watches as they struggle to rebuild. But as the dust settles, one thing is clear: Hurricane Milton has changed everything. It has exposed the fragility of human life in the face of nature's fury and forced a powerful nation to confront the consequences of its actions on the global stage. The latest updates on Hurricane Milton, as of October 13, 2024, reveal the continued challenges Florida is facing in the wake of the storm. The hurricane, which made landfall as a Category 3, has left over 3.4 million people without power, with widespread damage reported across the state. Hard-hit areas, such as Sarasota County, experienced storm surges up to 10 feet, causing severe flooding. Rescue operations are ongoing, with more than 340 people and numerous pets being saved so far. Tornadoes caused additional devastation, particularly in areas like St. Lucie County, where several fatalities have been confirmed. Despite the extensive destruction, state officials remain hopeful about recovery. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis emphasized the resilience of the state, noting that newer buildings withstood the storm better than older structures. However, many communities are still dealing with downed power lines, flooded streets, and impassable roads, making recovery efforts challenging. It will take time for the full extent of the damage to be assessed, but efforts are underway to restore power and rebuild affected areas.